This is an old clip. I think it was first uploaded to YouTube, as far as I can find, back in 2019, maybe 2018. I can't remember now, but it's an old clip of Deontay Wilder sparring Filip Hrgovic. And this was when they were both in training camp with David Haye, when Haye was preparing, I believe, for the Tyson Fury fight, which never took place. That was back in, 2013? So Hrgovic would have been an amateur at the time, and Deontay Wilder was a heavyweight contender as a professional. Now, it's an interesting clip. Again, I'm very late to the party. I'm aware of this. I haven't talked about this clip before, and it's been out there doing the rounds for years. But better late than never, right? So it's quite interesting watching these two guys in the ring together, seeing how their styles actually, match up against each other. Hrgovic was an amateur at the time, as I say, Wilder a professional. Both will have improved a lot since. Neither guy, from what I could see, at least not at this stage of the sparring, was putting full power into their shots. I mean, they weren't exactly throwing, feather-fisted punches, but they didn't appear to be really trying to take each other out, because both guys landed flush and nothing happened. Nobody was hurt, nobody wobbled, nothing. And if they were really going for it, I'm sure somebody would have got hurt, even with the big gloves on and the headgear. So, yeah, interesting. Hrgovic, since turning professional, has been saying that he's willing to fight anybody. That he's ready for all the top heavyweights. And this is even when Wilder was still WBC champion. He was saying he's ready for all the top heavyweights, etc. And I have to imagine that part of the confidence comes from the fact that he has sparred Deontay Wilder, and he sparred him when, again, Hrgovic was just an amateur at the time. And he's a younger guy than Wilder, right? So I don't know how young he was here. Was he a teenager here, maybe? And Wilder's in his 20s? So they're sparred together. Hrgovic is going to take some confidence from that. And of course, he would have gained even more confidence the more success he had in the amateurs, the success he had in the World Series of Boxing, and so on. So I'll be very interested to see Hrgovic in the ring with Wilder as a pro, based on what I've seen here. Because Hrgovic had no problem landing on Wilder in this sparring. Again, it's a sparring session. We don't know how many rounds Wilder has sparred, how tired he was, and vice versa. So you can't really read too much into seeing such a short clip. You could read more into it if we saw the entire sparring session from the beginning and we knew that both guys were fresh. Then you could maybe read a little bit more into it. But still, it was a long time ago, and both fighters have changed since then. I'm going to say both fighters have improved, but we don't know where Deontay Wilder is going to be at following the Tyson Fury loss, whether he can rebuild himself mentally and whether he's going to be able to come back from the injuries, because Wilder has been plagued by injuries throughout his career. Arm and bicep, bicep and hand injuries he's been plagued with. So we have to see how he can come back from that, and the mental issues that he's having following, or I believe he's having following the Tyson Fury loss. And when I say mental issues, I'm just talking about dealing with a shattered ego and dealing with confidence problems and all that kind of stuff. Not like mental health, just the kind of issues that any fighter will go through when they suffer a humiliating defeat. Some deal with it better than others. So either way, I'd like to see Hrgovic and Wilder in the ring at some point, maybe in 2021, because Wilder, if he decides to box on, he's going to have to get himself into a position as maybe a mandatory, or he's going to have to take out one of the top contenders to then create a public demand for whoever the champion is at the time to face him. And he might have to take on the likes of Hrgovic, some of the young guns coming up. He might have to go there and, put it all on the line in a risky fight, but the reward is big, because if he can take out a young Filip Hrgovic, he can put himself right back up there as one of the top heavyweights. Because I've seen some people, mainly Tyson Fury fans, saying that people who are running Deontay Wilder down right now shouldn't be doing so, because he only has one loss, and it was to the best heavyweight in the world. Well, because Deontay Wilder has fought so few of the top contenders out there, we really don't know how good he is. We know that he's good, don't get it twisted. But is he really head and shoulders? Because this is the narrative that the Fury fans have been running with. They're saying that Fury is head and shoulders above everybody else. Then you've got Wilder, and he will destroy everybody other than Fury. Then you've got the rest of the heavyweight division, and they're all competitive against each other. Is that really true? If we saw Wilder in there against some of them, then we might be able to find out. And as I say, this is a fight that I would be interested in seeing. Deontay Wilder versus Filip Hrgovic, 2021. If you want to get back on the horse, Deontay, if you want to impress the crowd and win back the confidence of your fans, then this might be one that you'd want to look at. And I'm sure by then, by 2021, if they can get Hrgovic the right fights in the meantime, it would be a fight that could be an eliminator, like a final eliminator or something like that. To be fair, last I checked, Deontay Wilder was still, I think, #1 contender with the WBC. Not mandatory, but #1 contender. So he might be in line to fight an eliminator anyway. In fact, let me, on the fly, check the WBC top 10 or top 15. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Wilder is #1 contender. You got Usyk in at #2, but Usyk will most likely be challenging for the WBO belt if he can get past Derek Chisora. You got Luis Ortiz. I don't know how he's ranked so high. Could it be Wilder Ortiz 3? To see who becomes WBC mandatory after Povetkin and White settle their issue. Andy Ruiz Wilder. I would love to see Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder. Dylan White, well, again, he's sorting his issue out with Povetkin, and the winner of White Povetkin will then try to push for a WBC title shot against Fury. Will they have to go through Wilder to get it? Possible, but I can't imagine they would really, want to go down that route, because especially Dylan White, he's been trying to get his WBC shot for so long that he would want a crack at Fury right after rather than having to fight yet another eliminator. Joseph Parker against Wilder. I'd love to see the fight. And unlike Tyson Fury, Wilder isn't a close friend of Parker as far as I'm aware, so I'm sure Parker would be willing to fight him. Daniel Dubois against Wilder. Yeah, I mean, there are so many fights here, people in the top 10, top 15, who I'd love to see Deontay Wilder fight. Even Derek Chisora on his day, when he's fired up and motivated. I wouldn't mind seeing him against Deontay Wilder, I'm telling you. And of course, Hrgovic, I've already talked about. Rivas, Hunter, and so on. So let me know what you guys think anyway in the comments below about everything I've discussed in this video. Deontay Wilder sparring Hrgovic, how you think both guys looked in this very, very brief clip, and how you think a fight would go between them in the paid ranks as pros. Let me know, people.